Good evening. It's Facebook Love number 178. I am the definition of dichotomy today. I am both happy and satisfied with things that are happening in my own life, with work and projects and things like that. And I'm relieved to see the actions of our incoming administration that looks steady and confident and prepared and compassionate toward all Americans, no matter who they are or what their lives require from government. But I am sad beyond expression because we've crossed a terrible threshold today. 250,000 Americans, at least, 250,000 Americans that we know of have died of COVID-19 as of today. And that number, I can't wrap my head around it. You know, if you look at a plane crash, you can sort of imagine all the people. If you see a building that fell down or a neighborhood that was on fire or bombed, trying to imagine 250,000 people who are just gone. I don't have the bandwidth for that. I keep thinking about each one of those people and all the people who are going to miss them, whose lives will be upended by their absence, financially, emotionally, families, friendship groups, workmates, creative projects, music, art, a road that needed building. I can't, I don't know what to do with it. So while I'm personally happy and less stressed than I was even a week ago, I am also humanly struggling with difficult truth. So I found a couple pieces, of course, to give myself some perspective. So today, Facebook Love is a couple poems that I think land in this place of conflicting understanding. The first one's a little older. It is by Adrienne Rich. It's not old, but it's from, it's probably from sometime before the 90s. I think this poem was published, you know, late 20th century. But it's been republished. It's hard to keep track. Anyway, this piece by Adrienne Rich is titled, "What Kind of Times Are These?" There's a place between two stands of trees where the grass grows uphill, and the old revolutionary road breaks off into shadows near a meeting house abandoned by the persecuted who disappeared into those shadows. I've walked there, picking mushrooms at the edge of dread. But don't be fooled, this isn't a Russian poem. This is not somewhere else but here. Our country moving closer to its own truth and dread, its own ways of making people disappear. I won't tell you where the place is, the dark mesh of the woods meeting the unmarked strip of light. Ghost-ridden crossroads, leaf mold paradise. I know already who wants to buy it, sell it, make it disappear. And I won't tell you where it is, so why do I tell you anything? Because you still listen. Because in times like these, to have you listen at all, it's necessary to talk about trees. What Kind of Times Are These by Adrienne Rich. If you're not a big poetry person, you wonder why on earth I picked that. But it seems like dread and creeping unease are something that's sort of come upon us when we see happenings and endings and disappearances that don't make sense. If you paid attention in the news today, a judge struck down again the Trump administration's policy of shipping unaccompanied children back across the border alone. And they are still doing all kinds of things illegally that the federal judiciary has forbidden them to do, and they're cruel. They're cruel to children and families who are not from here, and I don't have any comfort level about that either. So that's another thing that makes me feel so conflicted, because my tax dollars are being spent to do things that I consider cruel. Here's another piece that is about this unique and strange place of conflict. This one is by a poet named Richard Jackson from a collection called The Voices. This section of this collection is called The Gift. This plastic cup with the broken handle, green enough to almost disappear in the grass by the roadside, has come all the way from its origins in oil, and so it may be the last gesture of some dinosaur, or hold the last breath of an ancient fern. About the size of a fist, it may have been tossed out a window, probably from a muscle car, perhaps thrown in disgust at what was said on the radio news, or held some bourbon before the driver spotted the police cruiser behind him. Had he lost his job? Had his wife left him for his best friend? It hasn't been here long. The crows are busy with what's been pasted to the road. Greasy wrappers, newspaper, even a used diaper tell their own stories. The cup's probably made in China, probably by some worker not paid enough to buy it. Certainly the boys on the county cleanup detail would have bagged it had they passed this way. If I leave it, perhaps a mouse or an insect will make a home. We all need a home. Just into the tree line, the homeless tent village stays out of sight. Someone there could use it. Maybe the one who will thumb his way to Georgia for the onion harvest. Or I could simply take it home, to use as a planter to hold the miniature, flowerless cactus my wife had left for me. The Voices. This piece is called The Gift by Richard Jackson. That's another very poemy poem about possibilities and questions and our conflict and use of the earth, our careless discard of what we see as trash, which cost us dearly to create and costs us dearly when it's tossed aside. I'm thinking about all those things and feeling deeply how many people are gone today and how many more we may lose before the winter is over. This is Facebook Love. I'll see you again.